Fido, and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're in Dungeons and Dragons. We're in the Forgotten Realms. Actually, why are we here? You see, a joke about forgetting things. Oh, incredibly funny. But we're today going to be looking at a rather nice artist. It's Kalain, Reclusive Painter. A black and a red for a human elf bard. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token, which is an artifact that taps and sacks for an artifact. No, it doesn't. That's a lie. Taps and sacks for a mana of your choice, and other creature control enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it, on them for each mana from a treasure spent to cast them. So really, really nice. Leads you into sort of a treasure archetype, and it's a 1/2. I mean, that's not that great, but you know, it could be quite cool. This is really, really awesome. Allows you to put a bunch of counters on things, really make your big boys bigger. And, you know, it's just a nice bit of value and leads you into treasures, which, you know, might have some artifact synergies. If you enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing. I'm going to be making one of these for every single legendary creature, and there's a lot of them. So come and join me on the journey. Without further ado, let's have a look at the top 5 for the artist. In at number 5, we've got Magda, Brazen Outlaw, and a sort of dwarf sub-theme. 2 mana for a dwarf berserker. Other dwarfs you control get +1. Oh, when a dwarf you control becomes tapped, creates a treasure token. So that's really nice, you know, nice bit of ramp whenever we tap. Maybe we're attacking, maybe we're not. Who really knows? Then sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So artifacts, always pretty good. Dragons, yeah, they're always pretty good. So we're going to have a bunch of things we can search for. But here we have some dwarves that we can play that really work with treasures and also work with Magda. 3 mana for a 1/4 dwarf citizen. When it enters the battlefield, creates a treasure token. So nice enter the battlefield effect. And pay 2, sacrifice another creature or treasure, draw a card. So this is really good. If we don't want to be casting creatures, you know, maybe we've run out of creatures in our hand, we can start sacking the treasures we've made, and that's just great value. Or we can sacrifice the creatures in response to a board wipe to draw a ton of cards. There's so many uses for a sack outlet. Yes, it's 2 mana, but it's a dwarf. Look at his little bald head. A bit similar to mine, actually. But Vault Robber is another great dwarf we can play. 2 mana for a 1/3 for a dwarf rogue. Pay 1, tap it, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a treasure token. So we're using, you know, the creatures in our graveyard as a resource to be able to make treasure. And even if we don't have Magda on, we can generate those treasures. But because it's a dwarf, if Magda's on the field, 2 treasures per tap. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Which brings me on to Stormkiln Artist. Artist tribal, you know, a bunch of painters, you know, making things, blood artists potentially. And then we've got this guy who's just throwing electric balls. It's like Dragon Ball Z, isn't it? 4 mana for a 2/2, gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Treasures are artifacts, so nice bit of synergy there. And then Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a treasure token. This is fantastic with, you know, just any general removal spell. But in red, you have the Replicate, 1 red, Smashing Spree? Shattering Spree? No? Oh, God. Destroys an artifact and has Replicate. Anyway, whatever it is, you can cast that and replicate it a bunch of times because this is whenever you copy something. So you can get an absolute ton of treasures for wiping out all of your opponent's soul rings. Nice. Which brings me on to Goldspan Dragon, a dragon that we could tutor up for Magda. And if we're playing treasures, this is the sort of card we want. 5 mana, flying haste, 4/4. When it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, create a treasure token. That's also our spell. So say we were buffing it, or, you know, we really needed that 1 treasure. We could heroes downfall this to get a treasure if you really were that desperate. And treasure you control have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 2 mana of any color. So it doubles the effectiveness of our treasures, which is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really great. Just a good target all overall. You know, good card. It is expensive, sadly. And if we cast this, you know, with just treasures, we're going to have a 9/9 flying hasty dragon. So, you know, that's quite cool as well. You know, this commander's pretty awesome. Then we've got Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. 1 red for a 2/1 monkey pirate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that card. And you can dash it for 2 mana, which means you put it into play, it gets haste, and then it returns back to your hand at the end of turn. The cool thing about this is, yes, we're making treasures. Yes, we're getting advantage from our opponent's deck. The really awesome thing is because of the dash ability, if you cast that just with treasures, well, you're going to have a 4/3 monkey on your hands, and he's going to be swinging in for tons of damage. Or just potentially a 3/2 if you just cast him for 1 red. How dull. Then there's Treasure Vault. I love lands that, have effects, and this fits so perfectly into this deck. Artifact lands, taps for a colourless, pay double X and tap and sacrifice it, create X treasure tokens. So this one land can end up generating us absolutely massive amounts of mana, and it just fits so perfectly with the treasure sort of generation that this deck wants to do. So a great, great card there. Which brings me on to my number 4 pick. We're making a bunch of artifacts, Why don't we use them for something? Well, Goblin Welder is a great way of using them. 1 red for a Goblin Artificer. It's a 1/1 and tap. Choose target artifact or player. Let me start that again because I read it completely wrong. Choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as this ability resolves, that player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield. So basically, you just switcheroo them, from graveyard to battlefield, from battlefield to graveyard. Woohoo! Absolutely incredible. So really, really nice effect, and it can use one of those treasures, sacrifice it to get back an absolutely colossal beater and just slam it in there for tons and tons of damage. Wonderful card. But why don't we reanimate a couple of other artifacts with things like Beacon of Unrest? 5 mana for a sorcery, put target artifact or creature card from a graveyard. It's not just mine. Onto the battlefield under your control. Then shuffle it into its owner's library. So this is just a wonderful card. Hits both the artifacts and any creatures that might, Ginger Taxis, Dave's playing Ginger Taxis, the disgusting reprobate. Why don't we reanimate it after we've killed it? Absolutely wonderful. Just great value. Then we've got Duretti, Sweaty Duretti, the Scrap Savant. 4 mana for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +2, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. Excellent way of filtering through the deck. We can just get the cards that we want. Really, really nice. Then -2, sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So another way of sacrificing our treasures, just getting anything back onto the field. Absolutely wonderful. Then -10, you get an emblem with. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Sadly, this doesn't work with our treasures because, the treasures just go into, the ethereal void. They cease to exist. And they just spend the rest of eternity regretting every decision they've ever made. Which is, a nightmarish hell. Then there's Trash for Treasure. 3 mana for a sorcery. There's an additional cost to cast it. Sacrifice an artifact. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So a nice way of just reanimating an artifact. And Mere Battle Sphere is a great artifact that you can bring back. It makes tons more artifacts. And yeah, just good. Then the Scarecrow, another cool way of reanimating artifacts. 3 mana for a Scarecrow. Wow. Pay 1, sacrifice a Scarecrow, draw a card. So this can get into the graveyard so we can bring it back and we're drawing cards. But the main reason we want to play it, 4 mana, tap, return target artifact creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's reusable. Absolutely awesome. And if we cast this with just, our treasures, it'll be a 4/5. Ooh, that's threatening, isn't it? But another cool way of reanimating at least small artifacts is Goblin Engineer. 2 mana for a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an artifact card. Put it onto your graveyard, then shuffle your library. So this is great for, setting up absolutely anything. Just entomb a big artifact in and then reanimate it. Maybe not with this, but one of the other cards we've talked about. Then pay a red and tap it, sacrifice an artifact. Return target artifact card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that works fantastically with Scarecrow. And you can sacrifice the Scarecrow, bring it back. Ooh, wonderful. Then we've got Academy Manufacturer, 3 mana for a 1/3 assembly worker. If you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. So this just triples the effectiveness of any of our generators for all of those things, because we can draw cards off them, gain life, sacrifice them for mana. It's just incredible, and it's an artifact itself, so we can reanimate it, bring it back. Absolutely phenomenal. Then, in at number 3, we've got Arcbound Ravager. Now, all this sort of 1/1 counter shenanigans that are going on is really, really awesome. So why don't we take advantage of it by, using things that can sacrifice artifacts. We can sacrifice the treasures to this to put 1/1 counters on it. When we cast it, we can put additional 1/1 counters on it so that we can modular more things onto artifact creatures. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful card. And it goes well with Atog. 2 mana for a 1/2, sacrifice an artifact. Atog gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So yes, it's not dealing with counters, sadly, but it is working in a very similar sort of vein. We're sacrificing artifacts all over the place. Why don't we sacrifice them to this to get a massive beta? And if we cast this with treasures, it's a 3/4. Somebody stop this power. But it's a really, really cool card to have. Then we've got Moriak Rigor. Rigor? Yeah, Rigor Mortis. No, he just constructs things. 3 mana for a 2/2 or a 4/4 with treasures. Nice. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, you may put a 1/1 counter on Moriak Rigor. So this doesn't mean we have to sacrifice it to a specific thing. This could just be our treasures sacrificing themselves to make mana. So this guy can grow phenomenally big and works wonderfully in this deck. Absolutely great. I love him. In a platonic way, of course. Then we've got Scrapyard Recombiner. 3 mana for a 0/0 with modular 2. When it enters, which means when it enters the battlefield, it gets 2 1/1 counters. When it dies, put those 1/1 counters onto target artifact creature. And you can tap, sacrifice an artifact, so one of our treasures. Search your library for a construct card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Really, really nice. Search up some really key construct cards. Works wonderfully. Then we've got Sweaty Duretti back again, but he's got a nice cool black look to him here. Duretti, Ingenious Iconoclast. 3 mana for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. +1, put a 1/1 counter on. No. Adam, stop. Put a 1/1 colors construct artifact creature token with Defender onto the battlefield. Then -1, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, destroy target artifact or creature, so just sack off one of the treasures for that. And then finally, -6, choose target artifact card in a graveyard or an artifact on the battlefield. Put 3 tokens that are copies of that battlefield. Wow, that's a fantastic way to generate 3 treasures. Absolutely wonderful. Great ultimate. Duretti. What a guy. Then we've got Grim Hireling. 4 mana for a 3/2 Tiefling Rogue, which is something. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens, which is nice. If we've got some big boys, maybe with evasion, the dragon we were talking about earlier can fly in, get us some more treasures. And you can pay black, sacrifice X treasures. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So nice little sacrifice outlet for our artifacts. Works really nice. Then we've got Fane the Broker. 3 mana for a 3/3 with a lot of abilities. Tap, sacrifice a creature, put 2 1/1 counters on it, on target creature. So another great way of putting counters all over the place. Then tap, remove a counter from target creature you control, creates a treasure token. So thanks to all of the treasure 1/1 counters we're going to have from our commander, this is going to be able to activate and make even more treasures. Then tap, sacrifice an artifact, create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. And then finally, pay 4 mana to untap this bad boy. Really, really cool card. I love the artwork, actually. I've not really looked at it too much, but all that sort of ink going all over and just looks appetizing. Then, in at number 2, what have we got? Well, we've got Grenzo Dungeon Warden. And this set of cards is all about the 1/1 counter synergy. Grenzo is black and a red and X. It's a goblin rogue, and when it enters the battlefield, put X 1/1 counters on it. But you can pay 2, put the bottom card of your library into your graveyard. If it's a creature card with power less than or equal to Grenzo's power, put it into the battlefield. Onto the battlefield. Wrong vowel. Unto the battlefield? That's a bit better. 2/2, but if you just cast it for a black and a red and you've just used treasures, we've got a 4/4 Grenzo on our hands, and then you can just slam 4 power things from the bottom of your library. Absolutely cool. I love this interaction. It just works so cool and well. And a lot of, the things I just showed you are actually quite small. So the Outbound Ravager is a 0/0. So even if we've not got any treasures, and, Grenzo's just generic 2/2, it can get that onto the field. Really, really nice and works excellent with the modular creatures. Then to go along with it, we've got Hangerback Walker 2x and for 0/0. Enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. When it dies, put a 1/1 color stop to artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield for each 1/1 counter on Hangerback Walker. Then you can pay 1, tap it, put a 1/1 counter on it. So this is an excellent sacrifice sacrifice, just sacrifice it, get rid of it, get it off the field. I want the counters stuff to happen. But the really cool thing about this is if we cast this for treasure, every single treasure is going to put an additional 1/1 counter on it. So say we cast this for 2 mana, so X is 1. We're actually going to get a 3/3. Then X is 2. Well, we've paid 4 additional mana, so we're going to end up with a 6/6. It's just fantastic and works so well with all the treasure synergies. Then Walking Ballista double X for 0/0, enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. Pay 4, put a 1/1 counter on it. Then we can remove a 1/1 counter to ping something. Ping, 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 ping. Pew, 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 pew. Oh. But this is fantastic. Again, paid just 2 mana with it being treasures. Well, we end up with a 3/3, 6/6, 9/9. Yeah? 9/9, yeah. So it just gets exponentially bigger and bigger. Absolutely incredible. Then we've got Maga, Traitor of Mortals, which is going to do double work here. Triple black and X for a human wizard. And it comes into play with X/1/1 counters on it. When it comes into play, target player loses life equal to the number of 1/1 counters on it. So thanks to the fact that our treasures are going to give an additional 1/1, this is going to dome someone for tons of damage. Say we just pay the triple black and then 6 as an example. Usually it'll just deal 6 damage, but if all that mana is coming from treasures, well, we're going to deal 6 plus 9, which is 15. And end up with a 15/15 as well. So just absolutely incredible power. Which brings me on to my number 1 pick. And at number 1, we've got Marionette Master. This card has always been a firm favourite of mine. I love Fabricate, the choice. I love cards with choice. And you just get loads of bodies or a couple of 1/1 counters. So 6 mana for a 1/3 human artificer with Fabricate 3. So it either enters with 3 1/1 counters or you get 3 1/1 servo artifacts. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. Usually, you've made the tokens, you're going to be pinging everyone for 1, or potentially you could be pinging everyone for 4 if you've not made the tokens. Well, 6 mana is 6 additional 1/1 counters on this beast. So even if we make the tokens, that's going to be 7 damage every time we sacrifice a treasure, one of our tokens. Incredibly powerful. Or, you could put the 3 counters on it. So we're going to make a 10, 12. God, my maths is terrible today. But that's 10 damage every single time we sacrifice one of our treasures. Amazing. It's so good and just works so well in this deck. I love it. Absolutely love it. To go along with it, we've got Disciple of the Vault. 1 black for a 1/1, or potentially with a treasure. A 2/2. Isamaru, Hound of Condor, get out of here. Disciple of the Vault's come to take the throne. It's a human cloak. Cloak? Cloak? He wears a cloak? No, he's wearing... Oh, it is sort of a cloak. What is that thing actually on his... in between his legs? Let's move quickly on. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may have target opponent lose 1 life. So another great way of taking advantage of all the sacrificing treasure, sacrificing creature tokens. Really, really nice. Then Ruthless Knave, another great sacrifice outlet here that works very well with treasures. 3 mana for a 3/2. Pay 3 and sacrifice creatures. Okay, it's a bit steep, but it creates 2 colors artifact treasure tokens. Oh, my words are escaping me now. I'm getting tired. Then you can sacrifice 3 treasures to draw a card. So absolutely fantastic. If you just got an excess creature token, turn it into some treasures. Then if you've got loads of treasure tokens, you're going to draw tons of cards. Absolutely fantastic. And it's a pirate with his top off. Then we've got Kalain Ironworks, 4 mana for an artifact. This essentially doubles our treasures, although it is only for colourless mana. Sacrifice an artifact, add 2 colourless. Is it colourless generic? I think it's colourless. I don't know. It's an old printing. I don't know what it is. To your mana pool. So instead of our artifacts tapping for 1 of colour, this taps for 2 colourless or generic, whichever it is. Really, really cool card. And those are my top 5 picks. Absolutely cool commander. I really, really like it. The artist theme is really nice. You could take that in a whole direction. Blood artist, things like that. Fiend artist. I think that's white though. But really, really awesome card. I think it's wonderful. Really, really cool commander. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.